Hey all, my name's Michael, welcome to the channel, and we're going to be getting into some 4chan stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's begin. Be Me 27, male freelance photographer specializing in wedding documentation. Always been hopeless romantic, believed in authentic human connection. Grew up with parents who had fairy tale marriage, thought love conquered everything. Consider myself emotionally intelligent modern guy who values vulnerability. Recently got blindsided by breakup with girlfriend of 4 years. I just realized artists are fundamentally selfish and can't truly love anyone. Thought she was having creative differences or artistic temperament clash, but her words felt like surgical diagnosis rather than emotional outburst. Something in her tone suggested careful observation rather than anger, like she'd discovered inherent character defect in creative personalities. Start paying attention to how people discuss artists and relationships. Notice friends incredibly skeptical about creative types as romantic partners. Artists only love their work, everyone else is just inspiration material. Creative people are too self-absorbed for genuine partnerships. Assume they're stereotyping or jealous of artistic freedom, but their attitudes seem researched rather than prejudiced assumptions. When pressed for examples, they share surprisingly detailed stories. All involve artists prioritizing career over human connections. Learn that creative passion leaves no room for relationship devotion. Visit my cousin who's 30 and works in art gallery management. She's cultured, successful, understands creative world intimately. Always wondered why someone so connected to arts avoids dating artists. When I ask about romantic preferences, she gives knowing smile. Creative types make terrible partners, trust me on professional experience. Shocked by her certainty, ask what she's observed. Reluctantly shares insights from years managing artist relationships. Dated sculptor for 18 months, thought we had deep connection, supported his career, attended every opening, promoted his work, believed in his talent more than he believed in himself sometimes. Discovered he'd been using their relationship as material for installations. While I'm falling in love, he's documenting our intimacy for art projects, found sketches of me sleeping, recordings of our private conversations. When confronted, he said artists must sacrifice everything for authentic expression, apparently expecting emotional privacy equals stifling artistic genius. Destroyed her faith in artist capacity for genuine intimacy. Realized I was just subject matter until more interesting inspiration appeared. Explains how pattern repeated with other creative professionals. Musicians who disappeared during tour seasons without communication. Love apparently means loving what feeds your creativity temporarily. Now she dates exclusively in business world. Why risk emotional exploitation when outcome is always artistic betrayal? Attend art school reunion, reconnect with former female classmates, surprised by how cynical they've become about creative relationships. These used to be passionate artistic collaborators in college. Now they discuss male artists like emotional vampires. They drain your energy for their projects, then move on. Love is just research material for their next creative phase. Ask my old friend Vanessa about her perspective transformation. Shares story about filmmaker boyfriend who documented her mental health struggles. Went through severe anxiety disorder, needed professional therapy. He promised support but secretly filmed my breakdown sessions. Said raw emotional footage would make powerful documentary material. Used her most vulnerable moments as content without consent. Premiered film about modern women's psychological fragility at festival. That's when she learned creative love has exploitation clauses hidden underneath. Describes how he won awards while she dealt with public exposure trauma. New girlfriend was fellow filmmaker who enhanced his artistic credibility. Apparently, love means loving usable material more than actual person. Another classmate shares similar story about writer boyfriend. Supported him through novel writing, provided emotional stability. He said I was his muse. Couldn't create without my inspiration. Book got published with character obviously based on me, depicted as shallow, materialistic obstacle to artistic enlightenment. Love lasted exactly as long as he needed character development research. Start talking to women in creative industries about relationship patterns. Gallery owner who dated painter for 3 years. Thought we had equal artistic partnership until his career took off. Boyfriend became increasingly selfish about time and emotional energy. Love apparently means loving people who don't compete for attention. Describes years of support meaning nothing when success arrived. Promoted his work, handled business side, managed his public relations, but successful career meant he needed artistic freedom from commitment. Museum curator whose photographer boyfriend left during exhibition planning. Spent months organizing show featuring his work exclusively. Week before opening, announced he was moving to Paris for inspiration. Relationship ended when career opportunity conflicted with partnership. Apparently, love means loving people until better artistic opportunities appear. Begin noticing pattern in stories women share about creative relationships. Artists abandoning partnerships when career demands increase. Promises of collaboration replaced with competitive selfishness. Conditional love that evaporates under pressure of professional success. Women learning that artistic commitment trumps romantic commitment always. Attend a gallery opening. Overhear conversation between art collectors, discussing how creative professionals behave in relationships. Mine left when commissioned for a major installation project. Ex-boyfriend chose residency program over moving in together. Photographer disappeared during Fashion Week assignments completely. Pattern of artists prioritizing career opportunities over human connections, while expecting unlimited support during their creative struggles. Creates impression that artistic love is performative rather than authentic. Friend Isabella shares story about supporting musician through album production. Funded studio time, handled promotional materials, managed his social media. He said I was essential to his success, couldn't achieve dreams without me. Week after record deal signing, ended relationship for creative clarity. Needed fresh perspective for sophomore album. I represented past struggles. Immediately started collaborating with female artists who enhance his image. My investment in his career benefited another woman's artistic journey. Visit independent bookstore, overhear group of women discussing creative dating. Artists swipe based on aesthetic and cultural capital, nothing about emotional compatibility. They're shopping for muse material, not life partnership. Love means finding someone who enhances their artistic reputation. Describe creatives treating dating like casting call, reducing potential partners to inspiration sources rather than human beings. No consideration for emotional reciprocity or long-term stability. Show each other screenshots of dating conversations with artists, musicians asking about music taste before personality questions. What concerts do you attend? Do you understand experimental jazz? Treating relationships like artistic compatibility assessments. Love apparently requires cultural pre-approval process now. Friend Sophia shows me her dating experiences with creative types. Writers asking about reading habits, literary preferences immediately. Are you familiar with postmodern fiction? What's your take on magical realism? Treating potential relationships like intellectual examinations. Guess love requires artistic education verification first. Another woman ended conversation when artists learned she worked in finance. Corporate types kill creative energy, need someone more bohemian. Reducing complex human beings to lifestyle aesthetic choices. Start observing how male artists in social circle discuss relationships. Mine needs to understand that art comes first always. Thinking about finding someone more supportive of irregular schedules. She's great but doesn't appreciate experimental performance pieces. Describing romantic partners like obstacles to artistic achievement. No discussion of emotional bonds or reciprocal care. Purely calculating assessment of what relationships cost their creativity. Friend Trevor constantly evaluating girlfriend's artistic value. She's supportive but not inspiring enough for a long-term collaboration. Love her, but she lacks cultural sophistication for serious partnership. Treating 3-year relationship like creative consultancy position. Girlfriend unaware she's being assessed for artistic utility. When she started taking photography classes, suddenly became competitive threat. Love apparently fluctuates with creative territory protection. Attend gallery reception where artist speech focuses on personal sacrifices. Grateful for everyone who understood that great art requires total dedication. Proud to have finally achieved clarity about artistic priorities. No mention of people who supported him or relationships sacrificed. Celebration of individual achievement rather than collaborative success. Ex-girlfriend looks uncomfortable watching speech about artistic selfishness. Networking conversations reveal similar attitudes from other creatives. He really committed to the work, smart to avoid relationship distractions. Successful artists can't afford emotional complications during peak years. Discussing career advancement like military strategy requiring sacrifices. No mention of human costs or relational casualties. Notice how male artists respond to partners having creative success. Friend Marcus immediately became competitive when girlfriend got gallery representation. Can't date someone whose career might overshadow mine. Need partner who enhances my artistic reputation, not competes with it. No consideration for celebrating partner's achievements genuinely. Love apparently conditional on maintaining creative hierarchy. Same Marcus expects unlimited support when his projects face difficulties. Girlfriend should provide emotional and financial assistance during creative blocks, but he owes no reciprocal celebration during her successes. That's different. Male artists need focus without domestic distractions. Contrast with how women support male artists during struggles. Watch female friends rally around male artists facing funding rejection, provide emotional encouragement, networking assistance, financial support. Never question whether investment in his art is worthwhile. Unconditional belief in creative vision that men rarely reciprocate. Friend Carmen spent years supporting male artists through graduate school, daily motivation, thesis editing assistance, emotional counseling. When she applied for creative writing program, he was too busy to help. Women's art is usually more decorative, men create lasting cultural impact. Start questioning male artists' capacity for genuine partnership. Observe how quickly creative men abandon relationships during career opportunities. Gallery shows, residencies, commissions all trigger relationship terminations, while women expected to sacrifice careers for artistic boyfriends consistently. Creates impression that male creatives incapable of sharing creative space. Talk to divorced women about marriages to artistic men. Husband said art was his true love. I was just inspiration source. Claimed to need me for creativity, but left when better muse appeared. Promised partnership, but meant I'd be supporting character in his story. Consistent pattern of artistic love having unspoken creative hierarchy. Women discovering that promises meant nothing when career advanced. Learning that female cynicism comes from repeated creative exploitation. Art teacher shares story about husband prioritizing work during family crisis. Spent months caring for sick parent, husband complained about disrupted studio time, said family drama was killing his creative flow and artistic momentum. Scheduled gallery opening during father's funeral, chose career over compassion. Love lasted until it interfered with his artistic schedule. Join online forums about relationships with creative professionals. Women sharing stories about conditional artistic love. Men choosing residencies over relationships, tours over commitment. Learn that I love you means I love how you serve my art. Pattern so common, there are support groups for artist partners who view creative expressions of love as a manipulation for free assistance. Read thousands of similar stories from women worldwide. Consistent theme of artists abandoning relationships for career advancement. He loved my support, not me as individual person. Creative partnerships apparently have expiration dates when success arrives. Start examining my own relationship history through different lens. Realize I've been exploitative in my romantic connections too. Lost interest in girlfriends who couldn't contribute to my artistic vision. Loved them for inspiration they provided rather than who they were. Excitement about relationships always tied to their photogenic qualities. Never considered how my career demands affected their emotional needs. Remember girlfriend who wanted more time together during busy season? My immediate reaction was frustration rather than understanding. How could she not understand that wedding season requires total focus? Treated her need for attention as obstacle to artistic success. Started photographing other couples while neglecting our relationship. Partnership ended when she realized that she was unpaid assistant, not cherished girlfriend. Participate in photographer group chat discussing work-life balance. Time to upgrade, current girl doesn't understand artistic demands. She's supportive but lacks visual appeal for behind-the-scenes content. Casual discussion of replacing partners like outdated equipment. No recognition that women might have emotional needs beyond artistic contribution, treating female feelings as obstacles to creative productivity. Friend Nathan describing girlfriend like malfunctioning camera. She's loyal and caring but doesn't photograph well for social media. Need to find someone who enhances my artistic brand better. No consideration that she might genuinely love him. Dismissing 2 years of support because she didn't fit his aesthetic vision. Spend evening reading articles about artists and relationship dysfunction. Creatives mistake inspiration for genuine emotion. Love means different things to artists versus regular people. We love people, they love what people represent for their work. Consistent theme that artists and non-artists experience love differently. Non-artists form emotional bonds, artists form creative partnerships. Romantic investment in artists rarely reciprocated with equal human commitment. Discover online communities where women discuss dating creative professionals. Not bitter hatred, but genuine disappointment about artistic selfishness. Wanted to believe in bohemian romance fantasy. Learned that artists see people as material for creative consumption. Love is performance contract disguised as artistic collaboration. Thousands of women sharing identical revelations about creative personalities. Create support network of people who have given up on artistic relationships. Decide to test observations by documenting couples at cultural events. Gallery openings, concerts, poetry readings, film screenings. Notice how male artists treat female partners during professional situations. Woman tries to discuss art. Man interrupts to talk with important curator. Woman suggests creative idea. Man dismisses it, then repeats it to colleagues. Woman needs emotional support. Man claims artistic inspiration requires solitude. Man needs career assistance. Woman immediately provides networking and resources. Consistent pattern of male creative entitlement versus female artistic sacrifice. Realize that women don't trust artistic love because they've learned it's fake. At least not the way they understand and experience genuine connection. Artist's version of love is exploitative, temporary, project-based. Non-artist version is supportive, permanent, person-centered. Incompatible approaches create inevitable disappointment and betrayal. Attend couples therapy session with ex-girlfriend for a closure discussion. Ask her to explain comment about artists being fundamentally selfish. I loved you completely, sacrificed in my own creative dreams for yours, but realized that you loved having assistant, not actually loving me as person. When I stopped being useful, love disappeared like finished project. Describes feeling like discarded art supply rather than cherished partner. Real love doesn't end when creative inspiration moves elsewhere. Therapist attempts mediation but reveals cultural biases. Artists require more emotional space than average people. Partners need to understand that creative work demands sacrifice. Even professional validates that artistic love is inherently selfish. Confirms that creatives' calculating approach to relationships is expected. Realize that women's skepticism about artistic love is survival mechanism. Learn through experience that creative love is conditional on utility. Better to avoid emotional investment than face inevitable creative exploitation. Visit elderly relatives to understand generational perspectives on artists. Great aunt who married jazz musician during 1950s. Creative men used to need stable wives for practical support. Now they want rotating muses for constantly changing inspiration. Explains how cultural independence changed artistic relationship patterns. Modern artists love what you contribute, not who you are fundamentally. Your great uncle loved me through poverty, addiction recovery, career failures. Today's creatives abandon ship at first creative opportunity elsewhere. Family friend who remarried after divorcing photographer shares observations. First husband left when European exhibition opportunity arose. Second husband from non-artistic background values commitment over career. American artists trained to see relationships as temporary creative phases. Describes how professional values affect romantic loyalty. Artists from collective cultures more likely to honor relationship commitments. Individualistic creative training prioritizes personal expression over human bonds. Attend divorce mediation for artist friend as emotional support. Watch proceedings reveal creative perspective on marriage dissolution. Photographer husband arguing for equipment retention and studio space. She never understood that art requires complete dedication. Wife managed household while he traveled for assignments constantly. Both contributed, but only his creative achievement valued in negotiations. Love apparently means funding artistic dreams while receiving minimal partnership. Friend loses shared savings and collaborative projects. Ex-husband immediately starts new series with a younger artistic collaborator. Love lasted exactly until fresher inspiration became available. 8 months of investigation reveals disturbing truth. Women don't trust artistic love because artists taught them it's impossible, at least not the unconditional human love women seek from partnerships. Creative love is extractive, project-based, focused on artistic utility. Female skepticism about artists is a rational response to consistent creative behavior, not prejudice against artistic personalities or creative lifestyles. Start questioning fundamental assumptions about creativity and human connection. Maybe artists and non-artists have different emotional programming entirely. Creative obsession designed to prioritize work over human relationships. Non-artistic bonding designed for long-term interpersonal commitment. Creates inevitable conflict when both expect other to love their way. Attend wedding planning session with engaged artist friend. Listen to conversations about maintaining creative independence after marriage. Need to establish boundaries about studio time and artistic freedom. Planning for relationship limitations before marriage even begins. Fiancé uncomfortable discussing creative priorities over partnership commitment. Groom treating marriage like business contract with artistic escape clauses. Love forever apparently requires protecting individual creative space first. Speak with married women about relationships with creative men. Consistent theme of competing with art for husband's attention. Have to schedule conversations around his creative inspiration cycles. Marriage is supporting role where you can't quit but can get replaced. Describing relationships as unpaid internships rather than equal partnerships. Constant pressure to contribute creatively while receiving minimal emotional reciprocity. Husbands evaluating wives like art critics assessing gallery submissions. Visit female friends who've sworn off dating creative professionals entirely. Expected bitter anti-art sentiment, but find peaceful, successful women. Gave up chasing artistic romance fantasy, found real contentment, discovered happiness in stable relationships with emotionally available people. Not angry about creative personalities, but accepting of incompatible values. Artists can't help prioritizing work any more than we can help needing partnership. Learn to find fulfillment with people who value human connection equally. Some married accountants, teachers, engineers who prioritize relationships. Others focused entirely on friendships and personal creative pursuits. Many report greater life satisfaction after abandoning artistic relationship pursuit. Stopped chasing bohemian fantasy and started living authentic partnership. Now understand why cousin avoids dating artists professionally. Why female art friends maintain emotional distance from creative men. Why divorced women won't remarry artistic personalities. They've learned that creative love is professional arrangement disguised as romance, not emotional bond worth risking heart and resources repeatedly. Women's artistic skepticism is learned behavior from creative exploitation, not inherent prejudice against artistic expression or creative lifestyles. Artists created female mistrust through consistently prioritizing work over people. Begin recognizing exploitation pattern in my own creative community. Male photographers, musicians, writers all treat relationships as temporary support systems. None maintain long-term partnerships that survive career advancement. Love always conditional on partners' continued artistic utility. Realized I've contributed to women's skepticism about creative relationships. Never offered emotional reciprocity to supportive girlfriends consistently. Treated romantic partners like unpaid creative assistants rather than equal humans. Expected constant support while offering minimal relationship investment. Part of system that teaches women artistic love isn't genuine human connection. Spend months trying to find examples of artists maintaining healthy long-term relationships. Search through art history, contemporary creative couples, personal networks. Overwhelming evidence supports women's perspective about creative selfishness. Rare examples of artistic loyalty usually involve career sacrifice or creative compromise. Modern artistic culture consistently prioritizes individual expression over human bonds. 10 months later, completely transformed understanding of creative relationships. Women aren't anti-art, they're anti-exploitation by artistic personalities. Learned through experience that creative love disappears when career opportunities arise. Rational response is avoiding emotional investment in professionally obsessed individuals. Artists wonder why stable people avoid them romantically. Without understanding, they've demonstrated repeatedly that art trumps human connection. Women adapted by seeking relationships with people who prioritize partnership equally, or focusing on creative fulfillment through non-romantic channels entirely. Begin approaching relationships differently with this new understanding. Offer genuine emotional reciprocity rather than extractive creative collaboration. Focus on human connection rather than artistic inspiration. Demonstrate commitment to partnership over individual career advancement. Difficult to change professionally conditioned patterns, but necessary for authentic love. Realize that cultural narrative about artistic temperament is misleading. Artists aren't inherently more sensitive or emotionally complex. They're professionally trained to prioritize individual expression over human bonds. Women's skepticism about creative relationships is evidence-based protective strategy, not prejudice requiring correction through education or cultural awareness. Learn that love means different things to different personality types. Artists seek creative partnerships that enhance individual work. Non-artists seek emotional partnerships that enhance shared life experience. Acknowledging this difference might help both sides find compatible partners, rather than pretending creative and non-creative people want identical relationships. Women's mistrust of artistic love is professionally informed conclusion, not psychological problem requiring therapeutic intervention. Artists created this mistrust through consistent creative prioritization over human needs. Want to change women's attitudes about creative relationships? Need to change artistic culture's approach to human partnership first. 3 years later, married to elementary school teacher who never heard of my work. She loves me for character rather than creative reputation, provides emotional support without expecting artistic collaboration in return. Relationship thrives because neither person treats other as creative resource. Learn that authentic love requires seeing partner as complete human being, not inspiration source, creative assistant, or artistic enhancement. My photography improved because personal happiness enhanced creative vision, rather than creative obsession destroying capacity for human connection. Proof that artistic success and genuine partnership can coexist successfully. Just requires prioritizing human bond equally with creative expression.